Good afternoon, morning, whatever time you're watching this. It's Gia Girl, and I'm back with another murder mystery. And this time it is quite a mystery because even though police have a man in custody that they think is responsible, we're going to get into how this is still very much unsolved. So I was at work and one of my coworkers mentioned that they still hadn't discovered the body of a woman who went missing. So I looked it up after she left from work. So I looked it up because I was like, oh, I'm a single woman. I'm leaving from work. My commute is kind of long. So I wanted to look into this case and find out what was going on, what was happening. And oh my gosh, y'all. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I'm going to get into it. So the woman, her name is Danielle Stislicki. And she is from Michigan, like myself. She's an insurance agent, and I am talking about her in the present tense, not only to honor the life that she led, but because there's not been a discovery of her body. And I know that, people are saying if she was alive, she would reappear and all of that. But I recently came across a Reddit that talked about a man who had been missing for 5 years and assumed murdered, and he came back and he's just been living off the grid in the forest. So until they actually find her body, I'm going to refer to her as a person that is still living because they have not found a body. So Danielle came up missing after leaving work, and hold on, I got my So the woman, her name is Danielle Stislicki, and she is from Michigan, like myself. She's an insurance agent, and I am talking about her in the present tense, not only to honor the life that she led, but because there's not been a discovery of her body. And I know that, people are saying if she was alive, she would reappear and all of that. But I recently came across a Reddit that talked about a man who had been missing for 5 years and assumed murdered, and he came back and he's just been living off the grid in the forest. So until they actually find her body, I'm going to refer to her as a person that is still living because they have not found a body. So, okay, I have my notes for this. Sorry, it's shaky. But she came up missing December 2nd of 2016. So actually yesterday I'm recording this on the 3rd of December. So yesterday was officially the 5th anniversary of her disappearance. Her body has never been found at all. She was supposed to be meeting a friend after work for dinner, and she just never showed up. So before her disappearance, though, there were some things that concerned her parents. And one of the things that concerned her parents was a letter written to her from a secret admirer who happens to be the person that they suspect abducted her. But she came up missing December 2nd of 2016. So actually yesterday I'm recording this on the 3rd of December. So yesterday was officially the 5th anniversary of her disappearance. Her body has never been found at all. She was supposed to be meeting a friend after work for dinner, and she just never showed up. So before her disappearance, though, there were some things that concerned her parents. And one of the things that concerned her parents was a letter written to her from a secret admirer who happens to be the person that they suspect abducted her. Okay, so Danielle Stislicki, I'm going to probably trip over her name, worked for MetLife, and she worked there for a while. The day she came up missing, which was December 2nd of 2016, she was supposed to meet a friend for dinner and ended up not showing up. So her parents and her friends and everything were worried. When they showed up to her house, her car was there and she was not. And so she was missing. She left her purse. She left her pets. So immediately they said they knew something was wrong. Now, prior to Danielle's death or disappearance, because there has not been a discovery of her body, prior to her disappearance, she received a letter from a man who worked security in the building that she worked in, and his name was Floyd Galloway Jr. Since he has since been charged with the crime, and here's why. So her friend is saying that there's no way she would have missed this dinner with her. And so her parents said this was a cause for alarm, so they reported her missing, saying she never would have left her pets, her purse, all of these things. It is later on that police discovered that the man who wrote her this letter as a secret admirer, his name was Floyd Galloway Jr., he had previously been arrested because he raped a jogger, and he admitted to that. So he became immediately a person of interest because they thought that Danielle was met with foul play. So they said that he became their main suspect because of prior bad acts. Now, if you know anything about the law, you know that you can't convict someone based on prior bad acts. So no evidence has been found other than DNA that belonged to both Danielle and Floyd Galloway Jr. on his carpet. And I hate these types of cases because when I make commentary on them, because of the way people feel about rape and murder and how there has to be someone who pays, a lot of times they ignore the real life evidence of a murder trial. To convict someone of murder, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this person committed murder. And there is nothing that connects Floyd Galloway Jr. except for the word of a coworker that was given years later down the line after she came up missing, and DNA that was found on her carpet, on his carpet, which could have been from sexual acts. This case is going to be interesting to me, and the reason why is because the mother claims that Floyd was always nice to them when she and her daughter interacted with them because they worked at the same place. But then later on, she began to change how she talked about Floyd when he became a suspect. So she began to say, like, he was sinister, he would do things that would make Danny uncomfortable. So the testimony of the coworker actually said that Danielle had stopped to help Floyd, and he was seen getting into her car, and that was the last time that she was seen. Now, I know how people think, oh, well, that's the smoking gun. But in reality, it's not, because if someone makes me uncomfortable, I'm not about to get in a car with them by myself with no one seeing me. I'm just not. I mean, that doesn't make sense. And for women who have had to take care of themselves, that does not make sense at all. Another thing is that if he got in the car with her and he did something to her to make her, to kill her, why was her car there at her house then? Why was it not later just abandoned or discarded? Why was it parked in front of her home? I feel like there is more to the story than what anybody is willing to look at. And when you look online, like, I kid you not, there is so many videos claiming to have evidence against Floyd, and really all they have is that testimony that I just mentioned, some DNA that was found on his carpet of both of them, and then they have that's it. There's no other evidence that he could have possibly done something to her. Liking someone does not make you a murderer. The woman he raped, he did not kill. So the motives and the MO doesn't match unless they can find other bodies of women that he has killed. And I don't know if you guys know this, not being from Michigan, we don't have the death penalty here. So it's not like he's not telling them to avoid the death penalty, because he admitted to the rape, which he's already going to spend some time for. So why not, if you're already spending 30 years, why not just admit to knowing where she is? Because they're already trying to lock him under the jail for the rape, and no one died in that situation. So to me, it just doesn't really make sense why, and I don't claim to know why criminals do what they do or don't do what they don't do. So that's not necessarily like proof that he didn't do it, but it's not making sense. If you've already copped to a rape where they didn't have a lot of evidence against you, and now they have absolutely nothing, why wouldn't you? This story doesn't sit well with me. And I kid you not, all of the videos and information online said they have a bunch of evidence they're going to convict. So the whole thing is a clown show because you have no body. And the medical examiner testified that she had been asphyxiated even though there was no body found. How can you testify to that? And I don't know why they're so desperate to convict this man, Floyd Galloway Jr. And I think it could possibly be because they just want to give closure to her family, but that is unethical to put someone away without proper evidence. Not only that, it still leaves questions for those of us who are like myself, who are like, okay, you know, how can you put someone away with carpet, no body, and just vibes? Like, it doesn't make sense. How can you end someone's life over something like that without proper evidence? It's giving me scam. It's giving me a little bit down the line you're going to find out that the prosecutor's office is doing something fishy. So, and beyond that, what's even more like really weird is that her mom kind of switched up with how she was talking about Floyd. And I think it's because of how the police came to her and told her they had evidence. I honestly don't think that she felt that way, and I think she changed up how she was talking because you can see the early videos or the early reports of how she talked about him. It's a little off. It's a little weird. If you really believe this man had done this to your daughter, that you would be giving every, you know, to me it's just a little like the police could have convinced her that he was a suspect and that they didn't need to look too much further. But I've seen this happen too many times where they're fixated on one person and the actual killer gets away. So, and then people are in court every day getting judgments overturned because they find out that they were wrongfully accused. So that's like, would you really want someone in your family to be convicted of something that they did not do? Because based off of prior bad acts and off of little scraps of evidence, like it doesn't make sense to me how badly they want to convict this man without sufficient evidence. Like, to me, the evidence they have is just, it's not good. It's like they're just trying to pin this on someone and he looks good for it because he liked her, when it's very possible that they could have had a sexual relationship, seeing as she got in the car with him after work, which nobody I know of is going to get in the car with somebody after work that they don't at least like. You know, you're not going to do that. That's just not, that don't make sense. There's somebody who's making you uncomfortable. So her mom's testimony is what's throwing me off, or the whole thing, and the fact that they have no body. Those two things are very much a no-no for me. And there's always people that are like, well, based off of that, you can common sense. Well, the law is not based on common sense. The law is based off of beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's not, there's so many doubts in my mind about this case. There's so many unanswered questions, so many pieces that don't fit. And standing on girl logic, why would you help somebody who made you feel that uncomfortable that you had to tell your mom, like, oh, I feel uncomfortable now with what he's doing? It just gives me that Botham's St. Jean like vibes. Like, there's something going on deeper than what we know, that might have been a previous relationship, that now that her daughter's disappeared, that we're just going to change up a little bit of the details to make it fit so we can get closure. So what do you think? Let me know.